Hello, in this video I'm going to show how to do a fake time lapse, and I'm doing it inside of the sequencer and I'm doing it with events. Let me show one of the results I've got here. So we trigger the sequence and you can see the clouds moving, the lights turn on, also some of the ground elements shift just slightly and then it wraps itself up. So now that that's finished, we've got two types of events that you can call inside of the sequencer. And if you right click, you go to you add an event track and you can call triggers and repeaters. Repeaters are a little bit like the ticks, and triggers are just sort of individual calls that you're hitting out. I'll put in the links below that, previous videos that I've done on material parameter collections. Also, the way I'm calling this is using the sun position plugin, which is a free plugin that's included. You just have to turn it on. And I'm turning on lights, and then here is the repeater. So if you created a keyframe and double click, it's just an event. And then I'm referencing the sun position plugin and I'm modifying it by hours, by 0.2 seconds, every 0.2 seconds. And then when it gets past 23 hours, it loops back. Then also I created a bit of a function for some clouds. And those are essentially just modifying the BP sky sphere, which has a cloud speed function, which then I'm doing similar thing where I'm modifying the clouds in a jerky way every 0.2 seconds. And then when they get past a certain amount, then they go back to zero speed. That's basically it. Here's the continuous one, and this was the cloud trigger one. And so the cloud trigger, you can mute these, which is really convenient. But yeah, I'm going to unmute. I'll show the cloud trigger one. So if I hit play, I trigger the function. This has just got like 4 states where it goes through and the lights come on and then it finishes. These, you might have noticed, these are sort of jerking around. I didn't sync that up with the trigger, but essentially that's where I want to end this tutorial, which is this connects a bunch of events to a blueprint interface, which for the sake of this video, it probably has the least impact, but for the future, I think it has the most potential interesting functionality for me. So that's where I needed some help, and I'll reference the person who helped me because that was a little bit of a workflow. So let me share that. So blueprint interface, if you haven't used those before, basically it's a function that you can set up, and then by actor or even the level blueprint, you can then tell Unreal that you want to use that interface, and then you can call those functions or call it as an event. So let me just quickly show how to do that. So we'll go under right click, blueprints, and we'll create a new blueprint interface, and my BP02. It'd be BPI, but that's fine. We'll just call this a demo BPI 02. Okay, so now once that's created, then I can go in. I'll put it into the level blueprint for now, and I've created a few items here. It'll change the visibility of a rock and play a sound. So before we can call that demo BP02, let's dock it here. Before we can do that, we want to, I'll close this, we need to plug it in. And the way you call the blueprint interface is under class settings. And so there's the first one. We can add the second one, BP02. And there it is. Now, it's really important that you compile. I found that if you don't compile often, especially for blueprint interfaces, it's not going to work right. Now we can create an event, so that event for the demo BP02, and plug that in. And we'll definitely compile. And we can go to the sequence. So here it is. We'll create a new keyframe here. Select that. Hit enter. Double click. Now, the first thing we want to do for blueprint interfaces is add it here. So BP02, compile. We're going to delete this event because we're actually going to be talking to the function, not an event. So we'll create a new function. We'll call this like hit F2, F2, my demo function for BPI. That's long-winded, but it'll do. Now, I'm going to keep hitting compile, and we'll call the demo function. Now, one of the key things for blueprint interfaces is you have to plug the target in. And right now it doesn't look like you can, but actually if you drag it, it'll create one. So we'll compile that. And we'll compile this, and we'll just go through and just recompile everything, because otherwise the chances of this are, there's a lot of fail points. So not only is you have to do one or two more steps. So right click, go to the properties, because see, it's still connected to this event, the sequence 1 event, and that's not what we want. We want to call that function. And so we're going to clear that. And we'll go in and we're going to do this quick bind. We'll go in and we'll call that function. It was that long function. So there it is. We'll compile it. And one last step. Under here, we want to add that target. So that should do it. But once again, I'm just going to just compile everything. So now when we hit, we launch, there it is, it disappeared. So that worked. All right, awesome. Well, I hope that helps people out, because I think there's a lot of really interesting potential moving forward for calling events inside of sequences. But that'll wrap things up. We'll see you in the next video.